Hey everybody, this is your boy Myles. I'm getting back at you with some videos on what we use to put crappie in the boat. Me and my boy Johnny Brown, and been out there getting it in for 30 years, man. Just trying to pass on some of the knowledge, I guess. Over the years, people have asked me all the time, you know, Myles, what you use to get them, man? What you use? Obviously, ask me where I go. I don't have a problem telling people where I go. I don't know why everybody's so secret. Well, in Flint, I do know why people are so secretive, because the fellas here will absolutely decimate a hole. That's just what they do. Now, this video is on what to use, or what I use, and like I say, do you, man. If you got baits that work for you, do you. Most often what I find in fishing with people, I like to try and glean some stuff from them. Even when I'm watching fishing shows or looking through online fishing magazines or whatever the case may be, you know what the one thing that I look for when they're holding that fish? I look for what bait is in that fish's mouth. That's what I look at. I look at the jig head, the color scheme, all that kind of stuff. So when I'm looking at different magazine covers and I'm looking at people lipping big crappie or whatever the case may be, if the bait is still in their mouth, that's what I'm looking at. I ain't really looking at the fish. I mean, I didn't caught big crappie before, but I know about crappie fishing, and there's one thing that I know: they'll switch up on you, man. Yeah, they may like pink and green today, but you can go back the next day and they on black, yellow, and black. That's how the fellas are. But I'm gonna show you some of the baits that I use, and it's quite a few of them. But again, this is 30 years of getting after them, so you know, obviously anybody that's been doing it for a while, they're gonna have a bunch of baits. And if you only got one or two baits and you crappie fishing, you probably coming home with nothing or very few, and because they'll switch up on you. And you got to have a variety of baits, and I'm going to show you what I use. Now again, like I said, do you, man. There's a lot of people out there that catch crappie and they don't use this, but they use something like this. I guarantee you that they use something like it, whether it's made by Southern Pro, Strike King, or Bobby Garland, or whoever. Everybody makes baits. Some of these places make baits for other companies. Big Bite Baits makes a lot of baits for Cabela's. So, you know, whatever you like, find what you like, fish it with confidence, put your gear together correctly, keep your gear in good order, and you can't catch fish until you can find fish. But once you find them, if they're crappie, and crappie different than bluegills, if once you find crappie, you're gonna have to throw something at them that they want, and they may switch up on you within the 30 or 40 or 50 minutes that you're fishing for them, and you'll stop like, man, they didn't stop biting. No, they just stopped biting that. You better throw something else out there. So I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna give you a few of the things that I use. And again, this is off season for me. It's January up here in Michigan, and I think the wind chill is like 24 below. So you know I ain't fishing. It's too cold, man, up here. This is off season for me. I'll get back at it sometime around April, and I'll put some fish in the boat. I'm gonna show you a video of what we've done over the years, so you'll see. We get at it, man. You know, I ain't trying to boast or anything like that, but you know, if you've been doing something for 20-something years, you should be fairly good at it. So, show you a little video. Stick around. I'm gonna show you the baits that I use. God bless you. Okay, fellas, as promised, I'm going to be going over some of the baits in the repertoire, what I use when I'm out on the lake to put them in the boat. Be going over each one of these separately, so that I can cover them in greater detail. Just to give you an idea of just some of the baits that if you don't have them, get yourself some. They put fish in the boat. Some of them you probably recognize, some of them you may not, but I'll be going over them in detail so that you can get an idea of what I use to put them in the boat and get them in the deep freezer eventually. All right, I'm gonna start off with my bait locker right here. I'll be right back with you. All right, this, my friends, is the liquid bait locker bottle. I don't know if any of you fish with Gulp at all, Gulp products, but if you are a Gulp fisherman, you know one thing. This stuff is very messy. It stinks to high heavens. And if you don't put that top bag on right, your stuff will be stinking up the joint. And it's quite a problem. I wish Berkley Gulp just would put some cork in the top of that top, and that would just solve it all. Or you can do like I did, get your hands on one of these. Now, this bait locker has in it all of my Gulp products that I use. I'm a big fan of the Berkley Gulp 1-inch shads, 1-inch minnows. They put fish in the boat. That chartreuse one that you see there, I call it the high percentage. And anytime you're trying to locate fish, you want a high percentage bait that you can throw on, or they just probably cannot refuse. That's the one. But also in there is that same shad in the watermelon color, the black shad, which is the one you see with the black back to it. Emerald shiners in there. I've also got some Gulp cricket in there. Gulp cricket is deadly on the bluegills. I've got also that one that looks like a little twister tail. It's called Pearl White. That bad boy puts fish in the boat, both crappie and bluegill. The bluegill like it a lot because of the small size. But one of the things that this bait locker allows me to do is, if I was to try to do all of that with Berkley Gulp jars, and I'm gonna show you some in just a second. If I was to try to do that with the Berkley Gulp jars, I'd have to open up 5 or 6 different jars. My hands are stinking right now just from touching that stuff. That stuff just, maybe that's the draw, maybe that's what they like. They like the smell of it. I don't know. Either way, you'd have to open up 5 or 6 jars, and go through 5 or 6 different small jars to accommodate what's in this one. I can open up one jar, this bait locker, grab out of it what I want, and with this particular top, because it's got the rubber on the inside, never spills, never had a spill. And some of the stuff that's in this bait locker right now has been in there for probably 2 years, and still, if I run a little bit low on something, run a little low on crickets after I'll just go buy another bottle of crickets, dump it in, and we good to go. So this thing has been a godsend for me over the last 3 years. Get your hands on one. They sell them at Bass Pro or someplace. You can find them online. Liquid bait locker. If you're a Gulp fisherman, you fish with Gulp products, and you're tired of waiting for Gulp to fix the jar, get your hands on one of these. It'll help you out. That's my bait locker for my Gulp products. Get your hands on one. Okay, here's some of the Gulp product. I normally just, when I buy this stuff, I just kind of fill this container up, and then once I got what I want filled up, you can see I'm running a little low, but I'm low right now because I've been dumping them in my liquid bait locker. But this is how they come. This is the black shad, and they're about $5.99 pretty much anywhere. You can get them from Meijer if you want, Walmart. I don't know if Walmart sells them, but well, I can't say you can get them from everywhere. They used to sell them. Sorry for the focus on that. They used to sell them at Bass Pro. They don't now. They sell them in the small packets. I don't like that small packets because if you're a black shad fisherman or a gulp fisherman, you know that they rip these things to shreds in no time flat. So you might get 2 fish off of it. So if you buy them in the packet, the small packet, the pack of 10 or whatever, you're gonna go through that pack of 10, and that pack of 10 is almost like $4.99, and this is like 25 in a jar that you get for $5.99, as you can see. Or if you see like what I have right here, you catch them on sale on clearance from time to time for a little of nothing. But I've got some cricket. Can't really tell in this, but some gulp cricket, some emerald shiner, some smelt, just some various different gulp products. But this is how they come. But this jar, I'm telling you, Berkeley needs to put some kind of cork lid on the inside to fix the spillage problem, because I don't know anybody that fishes with this that don't have the spillage. And once that stuff spills in your tackle bag, man, it stinks the joint up, I'm telling you. But excellent product for putting fish in the boat. I'm telling you, Berkeley Gulp has gotten it right. It's a go-to, without a doubt. It's a go-to bait, go-to search type bait. That chartreuse one down there at the bottom, it's a go-to search type bait if you want to try and figure out where they are and what they're biting. All right, first on the list is my one of my main go-to boxes for crappie, and this has some winners in here. And of course, you know, let me say this right off the top: all baits, most of these baits catch fish. All of them catch fish. You just got to figure out which ones catch fish better. And if you're like me, been fishing for 25-30 years, you kind of narrowed it down to what works and what doesn't work. If you've been fishing that long, you should have gone through quite a few baits to figure the riddle out. Now, here's what I got in here to get it down to what I like to throw at them, because you know, you fishing for crappie. Anybody knows you fishing for crappie, they'll switch up on you in a heartbeat. So you got to be able to throw a few things at them. But I'll tell you, of all the things over the years that I've thrown at them, the one thing that they will put in their mouth besides that Berkeley Gulp is this boy right here. That red and white stinger by Southern Pro is a winner. Get your hands on some of them. The other color that I have them in is the orange tail. Now, I probably put more crappie in the boat with that than I have with every other bait that I have in my arsenal combined. It is just, I don't know what it is. It is in winter. Matter of fact, I got a buddy of mine that fishes with me now. He done switched over to the red and white stinger. It's made by Southern Pro. It is a winner. Get yourself some of those. They will put fish in the boat. As you can see, of all the baits that's in this one, I'm very heavily vested in the red and white stinger. But that doesn't mean that there's not other things that put fish in the boat. I have that bait in an all white. I also have that bait in, like you can see here, the red with the yellow tail. Now, how I got hold of the, how I got to fishing with the red with the yellow tail is a whole nother story. I'm gonna get you some backdrop on that. I had bought some jig heads with or what I thought I was buying was some regular jig heads with the J hook on them, and the guy that sends me my jig heads sent me some with the sickle hook. And so I got back with him. I said, hey man, he's got the wrong hook on him. He said, well, just go ahead and keep them. Maybe you're gonna like them. As you can tell, this is a jig head with a J hook and a sickle hook. I'll show you when we get to my other box. He said, just go ahead and keep them. You might like them. It's the only bait. It's the only type of hook that I fish with, and they're sharper. And you might like, man, I'm telling you, I put that sickle hook on, I ain't looked back since. So I got back with him. I said, man, that sickle hook is the bomb. He said, yeah, you also might like the Southern Pro stinger in the red and yellow. And that's how I came across those. It does put fish in the boat. I have found that this one puts more fish in the boat. So, got another bait. It's in the Southern Pro line. It's a stinger, and it's in the red and white and yellow. Red's a good color for crappie. White's a good color for crappie. Yellow's a good crappie. So red, yellow, and white should be a winner. This one I have caught some crappie on, not quite the volume with that. This is made by Bass Pro. It's called the Jake. Let me see if I can get it out. I like white in a color for crappie. It's just a little bit bigger profile bait along the shad style bait, a little bit bigger. I've got these rat tail stingers. They're good on crappie when they're looking for a smaller bait. But I'll tell you something that's even better is this right here, the killer. We call it the killer. A white twister tail, 2-inch, is deadly on crappie. I like to run it with either a red head or a chartreuse head. Sometimes I'll run it with the pink head. But the white, this white 2-inch grub here, deadly on crappie. I call it the crappie killer. And of course, these are some panfish assassins here. Bass assassin, panfish assassin. I think in the 1-inch they call them panfish assassins, and then anything bigger than that, excuse me, they call them bass assassins. Deadly on crappie as well. You always got to have a tube type bait. This is the little hustler. That's the little hustler right there in a chartreuse color. I like to run a 32nd ounce head through that, and it works pretty good. These baits here, particularly this grub here, that grub there is called the Weiss Lake Crappie Killer. It was put on display at Weiss Lake. It does bring in some fish. I don't know what it is, excuse me, with the blue colors, but blue is a deadly color on Weiss Lake for the types of crappie that are in that lake. They seem to love it. This bait here is a bubble body. It's made by Big Bite Baits. It comes in a lot of different colors. I call it the orange crush because the bluegill crush it. That is just I catch a great deal of bluegill on that one, and when I'm trying to figure out what they're biting, I'll use the Gulp Cricket. Usually bluegills are not as picky. They'll throw down on anything when they're eating. Some Southern Pro shads. This one is in a Tennessee shad color, which is got your top in black, your bottom belly in silver, and kind of a silver flake tail. Kind of mimics the types of minnows that they're eating on. I just purchased these. These are by Big Bite. It's kind of it's a mimicking bait to one of my go-tos, which I call a Flint Central because I graduated from Flint Central High School and their colors were black and red. So I look at my black and red baits as all Flint Centrals. However, that's not the name of it. That's just how I look at it. This one's by Big Bite, and it kind of is a grub tail on that Flint Central shad body. And I haven't tried it yet, but the other bait that I have just like it is a winner for real. Of course, you always got to have some chartreuse shad type baits. That's a chartreuse shad by Bobby Garland. Slabalicious, buddy of mine put the hurt on them up in Canada with that Slabalicious. I don't think it was in that color. I think it was in the red and this color here, the red and chartreuse. But you know, give them what they want. Give them what they want. Slabalicious, any of this stuff. This is just another grub, 2-inch grub by Southern Pro. They call them hot grubs. Some beaver tails. Caught one of the biggest crappie that at that time that I caught on that particular color beaver tail out at Bennett Lake here in the Michigan area. Very good bait. And that is one box that has some baits in it that I used to put crappie in the boat. Again, all this stuff works. Some stuff works better. You just got to figure out what they want and keep swinging at them and throw at them with something that they're going to figure out that they like. Got to have a variety. That's bait box number 1. Okay, guys, this is box number 2. And this is pretty much my shad box. It's the box that I break out when I'm at in Alabama or some other major crappie hole I do take it out when I'm fishing around here in Michigan, but this has my shad profiled baits that are winners, and I've gone through a lot of these colors and come to find out that obviously some colors work better than other colors. So, but you want to give them what they want on any given day. So let's get going. Now, keep in mind, there's a lot of people who make shad profile type baits. A lot. Southern Pro makes some. Bobby Garland makes some. Who else? Strike King makes some. A bunch of people make shad type profile baits. So what you want to do, and almost all of them make some of the same color schemes, and the differences in them are minute. And most of the time, the difference is only price. Matter of fact, we were down in Alabama, and we were buying some Bobby Garland, buying some of these bluegrass right here, and me and a buddy of mine, and we noticed that there was some baits look just like it right next to them, and on the packaging it said it's the same thing. That was the name of the packaging. It's the same thing. Only difference is the Bobby Garlands are like $3.19 a bag, and those were like $1.29 a bag. But you know, if you look at them, they are the same thing. However, do you buy what you like? This is by Bobby Garland. It's the color is called Monkey Milk. Very popular color. It's kind of like a translucent with black specks in it. It does work. They do bite that one. Get yourself some Monkey Milk is in a color. No matter whether you get it in Bobby Garland or Southern Pro, whoever, get you some in Monkey Milk. You'll like it. I guarantee you that. This one's Cajun Cricket. Bobby Garland. This is a Southern Pro. It's called Electric Chicken. And this one here is called Barbecue Chicken. Who doesn't love barbecue chicken? Really? Who doesn't love barbecue chicken? This one is by Southern Pro. It's pink and white with the chartreuse tail. I just call it Pinky. This one's by Bobby Garland, and I think this one is called Blue Ghost. Again, down in Alabama, they just kind of love the blue color stuff. This boy right here is a bad boy. Made by Cream Little Fishy, and they make it in a solid white, the chartreuse. They make it in a bunch of colors. I like it in the chartreuse. I like it in the white with the blue back. I like it in the solid white, and I like it in this color here. It's kind of like a perch fire tiger type mimicking bait, but I like that in those color schemes. Again, a lot of things work. Find out what works for you. Now, this is the Bobby Garland Bluegrass in person. This is a color and a bait that you're gonna want to have in your repertoire if you're gonna fish for crappie. I'm telling you. I don't know why it works as well as it works, and there's some other colors that work. The blue ice works pretty good. This particular one works very, very good. It works so well it can almost be a search bait. And what I refer to as a search bait is if you don't know what they're biting, throw something on that you've got a high percentage of time that you think that they're going to bite, and this one would be it. For me, that would be the Gulp 1 inch chartreuse shad. It would be the Southern Pro Red and White Stinger, or that right there, that bluegrass. And as you can see, I got more of them than I got of anything else, because this just is like that. Yeah, it is like that. Some more shad profile type baits by Southern Pro. That one's a Tennessee shad, but it's got a chartreuse tail. Now this one is called a 2-inch crappie stinger, and the color is Tennessee shad, which basically is a shad profile or mimicking type bait. Looks just like a shad swimming in the water. And down in Alabama a year or two ago, really put the hurt on them with that. Went through probably about 60 or 70 of them. These two here, this is gradually becoming one of my go-tos, and of course you can see it's in my popular Flint Central color. we put the hurt on these both in Michigan and some of the other places that we go fishing. This is a bad boy here. Get yourself some of these. Good story behind me getting this. Good friend of mine, Bobby Folks, was asking me to order some of these, not this particular crappie stinger, but the one in this color, but this one, and I by mistake ordered these. Well, let me tell you something about the best mistake I ever made. He put the he's telling me this is one of his go-to baits down in Alabama, putting the crappie in the boat, and I know for sure that it's one of mine putting the crappie in the boat here. That boy will catch some fish or put some fish in the boat for you. Now, we're down in Alabama this year. The one that showed out, the color that showed out the most, this bad boy right here, pink with the chartreuse tail. Put him in the boat big time. You know, this was a winner, and it was one that I had purchased before I got down there. You see the bay filled right now. That's because I handle my business right away. But that bay was empty when I came back from Alabama. But you know, I don't wait. You know, this is what I talk about doing your work in the off season. I don't want to get the season in and then I'm looking at, you know, not having something that actually worked. But this is my shad box number 2. We're gonna move on to box number 3. See you in a minute. All right, guys, this is box number 3. I'm gonna quickly go through this box because a lot of the stuff in this box is kind of when things ain't going right, or if the bite is really on, you just want to experiment with some stuff. This is kind of my experiment with some stuff box. But it does have in it the type of jig heads that I use. I told you I like the sickle hooks now. This particular one is a 24th ounce sickle without the bait holder, with a red hook. Now I do have them without the red hook. I do have them with a bait holder. I do have them in chartreuse and in pink. Not in this particular box, but in chartreuse and pink. And in this box, I have a lot of baits by Big Bite Baits. Have some by Strike King. The Crappie Thunders are by Strike King. Both of those Crappie Thunders are by Strike King. I do have these little hustlers that are by Southern Pro, and these here that are by Big Bite Baits. Now, Big Bite makes some excellent baits. One of the baits that they make that's an absolute winner on crappie. I don't know if you have ever used this color. I was shocked too when I saw it and saw it in action. Pink, yellow, and white. I don't know why I was shocked, because I know pink's a good color for crappie. I know yellow's a good color for crappie, and white's an excellent color for crappie. So something in pink, yellow, and white should be a winner. Well, this particular one is. Get your hands on some of them by you know, Big Bite Baits. And of course, you know, as you go through what is offered, you know, if you look up that particular bait on Big Bite Baits, you're going to see a truckload of colors. You know, yeah, here's a bunch of colors. Which one do I use? Well, all of them catch fish. One or two of them will probably put fish in the boat better than the other ones. That's just been my experience. And that is the one. I've caught fish on this one. I've caught fish on this one, but this one is like a 2 or 3 to 1 ratio on catching fish. But you always got to have yourself some tube type baits, some little hustlers. I recommend. That's actually another Bobby Garland color. I've got some jig heads. Even though I do fish with 24th ounce more often than not, I do have some 16th and 8th ounce in here, because you never know. You just may have to get a little deeper. Water may be a little bit more current. You got to get a little bit deeper. This is the stinger, crappie stinger in black and pink. Very good color. Some Lake Fork minnows. They got the little divider on the inside of them. Gives them a lot of action. I like that color. That's a bluegrass color. Very good bait. Probably don't have any of these in your repertoire, I'd imagine. That's a dace minnow, and that's a very hard to find bait, but very effective on walleye and on crappie. This one here is what I refer to as the black minnow. It's kind of a 1-inch shad bait, paddle tail, black back, silver glitter. And the interesting story about this one, we were up at Rice Lake, we were fishing, we were in the boat, none of us was catching fish. You know, you have those down times, those lull times. And And those are the times you pull something out of your bag and try and figure out, well, let me try this. And that's what I pulled out, that right there. And, you buy them. I had a pack of like 25 in a pack, and, first cast, boom, hit a fish. Next cast, boom, hit a fish. Well, this is soft plastic, so you're going to get about 5 fish out of it. Next thing you know, I'm the only one in the boat catching fish, and this is the only thing that they're biting. And that day, it was Wednesday, and I had 2 more days to fish, and I'm going through these baits like water now because they're tearing them up. They're absolutely ripping them apart. And I ended up, putting a lot of fish in the boat with that. So, and I actually bought it at Big Lots of all places. So it was hard. It was a hard bait to find. I finally found somebody that manufactured them. And so I, I ordered quite a few of them, a couple hundred. And because I wouldn't fish for them for like I wouldn't fish with it for like 5 years. So I only had like 3 or 4 of them. So I wouldn't even fish with them because I didn't want to run out and never have none. Just waiting. Shoot, I was thinking about making some myself. That's my Flint Central, my go-to, bad boy right there. And they make the same thing in the Stinger Shad right there. Now this one right here, I had these hand tied for me, and I have them in a couple different colors, a white, chartreuse. They have a pill head on them, 24th ounce sickle hook. I did catch some crappie in Alabama on this, but that one I can't throw as often because Alabama, you throw in some very high risk areas, and that, oh boy, I can't go through losing those because they're very expensive, but they do put fish in the boat. All right, that's bait box number 3. Come back at you with my go-to cans or my go-to bags, and I'll show you what we use. All right, guys, these are actually 2 separate boxes. These are my 2 go-tos, and by go-to I mean, instead of me breaking out those big 3700 Flambos, these are some smaller ones that, I just grab a little small thing and take it with me. If I'm fishing for bluegill, I'll take this one. I'm fishing for crappie, I'll take this one. As you can see on my bluegill one, I have, I'm pretty much sold on black and orange. Of course, those are not the only colors that bluegill bite, but you fish for them long enough, you figure out that they like certain things. The other thing is that they like is these natural colors and like the cricket type baits. So that's what I got. But here's exactly what I got. I like the rat tails. They like these smaller rat tail type baits here. I got some of them. This is the body of one of the cubby jigs. Of course, if you fish for bluegill, they do bite the cubby jigs. That's the black cubby jig body. And I do have that same body in a bubble body. Give me a minute. Right there. In a bubble body. That bubble body is made by Big Bite Baits. They do make them for Cabela's, and that's why I say, whatever you get, whatever you like to fish with, somebody else makes it and probably makes it for somebody else. So just do you fish with what you like to fish with, and you'll be okay. You ain't got to fish with what I'm fishing with, but do you. These are the same rat tails in orange. One quick story. We were out in a lake here in Michigan. A friend of mine was fishing with this bait right here. Well, not this bait. They were fishing with the orange that's made like that. That's made by Cubby, the Cubby Jig orange. And he was crushing bluegills. I mean, absolutely crushing them. I look over to him. I said, "Hey, Mo, man, what you using?" He said, "Man, they got this orange. I got this orange on, man. They crushing it." I said, "So you using the orange crush, huh?" And that's what that bait ended up being called by us. And, this is what I refer to as orange crush. And I've caught a truckload of bluegills over the years with that bubble body by Big Bite Baits. And so I've also used this one right here. It's made by Mike's Panfish Bait. Shout out to my boy Charlie at Chuck and Debs. This is the only place that I know that you can get them, chuckanddeb.com. And they have that bait in a lot of different colors and varieties. Very good bait. Rat tail in white and in I don't know what that color is, but I got that from Chuck and Debs as well. And in chartreuse, also got just some grub bodies. This one right here is by Uncle Buck's. It's just a small Uncle Buck's minnow. And if you do some research on bluegill fishing on Guntersville, this is what they say the bluegill down in Guntersville go for. They go for that. They go for this kind of Uncle Buck's type small minnow right here. So I got some, used them up in Canada. They absolutely crushed it. These are just some cricket type baits, and I normally use the Gulp cricket. And that's my go-to. And this is the actual cubby jig. And this one here is with orange with kind of a chartreuse body, number 8 hook. The only thing I don't like about the cubbies is as you can see, the eye of the jig head needs to be busted out. I can't stand that. You would think for as much as you pay for them old boys that they would have busted the eye out of them, but they haven't. So what do? You bust the eyes out before you get to the lake. That's what I tell them to do. So put your work in. There's some of the jig heads I use. Again, I use a predominant color base of either chartreuse, red, or pink. These particular ones are looks like number 6 hooks that are on them. And that's that box. And then of course I've got my crappie go-to box, and I'm on a lake that I know I'm about to do what I call an inspection. An inspection is when you're trying to figure out if there's any specks in the area. If I'm gonna do an inspection, this is the box that I grabbed because it's got some winners that the crappie ought to hit. As you can tell, I got the bluegrass in here, the red and white crappie stinger, got some killers in here, my go-to Flint Central, some Tennessee shad, some stinger shads, and the Flint Central color again. That black minnow that's always deadly. This new boy that showed out up at Alabama, the pink and chartreuse Southern Pro shad. Always got to have some tube type baits. The cream little fishy, the Strike King Crappie Thunder, and the crappie do hit that Mike's Panfish bait in the chartreuse. But these are the baits that I use. These are my go-to boxes depending on what I'm going to do for either crappie or bluegill or crappie. That's what we use out there, y'all. Get your hands on some of this good stuff, y'all. And again, do you, man. If you like Southern Pro, do Southern Pro. I like Southern Pro. If you like Bobby Garland, I like Bobby Garland. Get Bobby Garland. There's a bunch of other people that make shad type baits, and a lot of these baits that look just like these baits. Just do you. Find what you like, stock up on them, and stay stocked up. All right. Bless you.